This story is 100% fiction. All elements are imaginary. Coincidences with reality are accidental. But 18. Entertainment only. The metallic taste in her mouth was the first thing Sissy Moretti registered when she woke up. The second was the wrong ceiling. This wasn't the water-stained beige ceiling of her rented Brooklyn apartment. This ceiling soared 15 feet high, adorned with Renaissance frescoes, illuminated by a crystal chandelier that probably cost more than 3 years of her salary as an interior designer. Where the hell? She tried to sit up and sharp pain lanced through her abdomen. Memory returned in disconnected flashes. The ultra-modern clinic in Manhattan, the 50-page confidentiality agreement, the white-coated doctor explaining the embryo transfer procedure, the light sedation, and then nothing. Cece looked around, heart racing. The room was obscenely luxurious. Authentic 18th century furniture she recognized from museum catalogs, emerald velvet curtains, Italian marble floors. The walls were decorated with art that looked like it had been stolen from European collections. Her designer instincts screamed one truth: this place belongs to someone dangerous. Normal people didn't have original Caravaggios on their bedroom walls. The door opened with a soft click. A man entered and Sissy felt the air get sucked from the room. He stood about 6'3", broad shoulders beneath an impeccable black suit that probably cost more than her car. Dark hair styled back, angular jaw covered by stubble that was maybe 4 hours old, eyes so dark they looked like bottomless pits. But it wasn't his appearance that paralyzed her. It was his presence. The man carried contained violence in every deliberate movement, predator recognizing prey, and the moment his eyes landed on her, Cece saw something that made her swallow hard: recognition and absolute horror. Jesus Christ. His voice was deep, rough, pure American, but with an edge of something else. Old money, East Coast elite. He staggered back like he'd been punched. "No, this isn't possible. Where am I?" Cece demanded, forcing firmness into her voice even as her hands trembled. "Who are you? The clinic said I'd wake up there, that the procedure would be. You shouldn't be here." He cut her off, voice sharp as a blade. He approached in 3 long strides, stopping inches from the bed. His eyes swept over her face with disturbing intensity. "Who sent you? Who? Sent?" Cece recoiled instinctively against the headboard. "Nobody sent me. I signed a surrogacy contract. Dr. Winters said it would be anonymous, that I'd receive $500,000 after." "Anonymous." He released a humorless laugh. "Dr. Winters works for me, and she never should have shown you." He stopped abruptly, jaw clenching hard enough for Sissy to hear teeth grinding. "Shown me what?" She sat up, completely ignoring the pain. 4 months after catching her boyfriend in bed with her twin sister, Cece had developed a well-calibrated radar for lies. The contract said the biological parents wanted total privacy, that I would never. "There are no parents." His voice dropped dangerously low. "There's only me, and you." He extended his hand, fingers visibly trembling before touching her face with a gentleness that contrasted brutally with the violence in his eyes. Cece froze. "You have her face," he whispered, and there was something broken in his voice. "Every detail. The amber eyes, the dimple in your chin, the shape of your nose. How is this possible? Remove your hand." Cece articulated each word slowly, maintaining eye contact. "Now." To her surprise, he obeyed immediately, stepping back 2 paces. "I'm sorry." The word sounded strange coming from him, like he wasn't used to saying it. "I didn't mean to. You just look exactly like who?" Cece crossed her arms, forcing her brain to work despite the panic. "Who do I look like?" "My wife." He turned abruptly, hands closing into fists. "Katie. She died 3 years ago, and you're identical." Cece's stomach dropped. "Identical how? Similar or twin?" He stared at her again, and now there was something calculating in his gaze. Measuring, evaluating. "You must be twins. There's no other explanation for this." He didn't finish the sentence. Cece felt the world tilt. Twin. She had a twin sister, Camilla, the witch who stole her boyfriend. But that wasn't who this man was talking about. "I was adopted," she heard her own voice say, distant. "At 3 months old. Never knew my biological mother. The records were sealed. I tried to open them when I turned 18, but Katie was adopted too." He sat in the armchair beside the bed, elbows on knees, head in his hands. "She never knew she had a sister. I never knew." Heavy silence filled the room. Cece processed the information with the methodical precision she used when evaluating architectural plans. Surrogacy, dead wife, twins separated at birth. You used her eggs, she said slowly. Your dead wife's eggs to create the embryo that's now inside you. He raised his head, eyes red. Yes, Katie froze eggs before the cancer. She wanted me to move on, find someone, but so you paid me to carry her baby. Cece's laugh came out hysterical. Without knowing I was her twin sister, that her DNA and mine are 99% identical. He finished, which means genetically, I look like the baby's biological mother. Cece pressed her hands to her still flat abdomen. But I'm not. I'm the aunt. Who's carrying her son? They stared at each other in stunned silence. This is completely sick, Cece murmured. Agreed. And you kidnapped me. The clinic said I'd wake up there, sign some papers, and go home. Why am I here? His expression hardened instantly. Because 2 hours after the procedure, my men intercepted an attack team planning to invade the clinic. He pulled out his phone, showing photos that made her stomach turn. Armed men. Blood. Bodies. They wanted to destroy the cross bloodline. Kill any woman carrying my son. Cece felt bile rise. Rival organizations? She tried to keep her voice steady. The same one that killed Katie. Pure hatred distilled from every word. They blew up her car. She was 3 months pregnant. We lost them both. My God. So yes, I kidnapped you. He pocketed his phone. Because you're carrying the last part of the woman I loved. And because apparently you're her sister. Which means I also have responsibility for your life. Responsibility? Cece released an incredulous laugh. You brought me here without consent to… Where are we? My estate in Connecticut. 300 acres, fully secured. Military-grade security. Impossible to breach without me knowing. You imprisoned me. I protected you. Without asking. Would you rather be dead? He stood abruptly. Because that's what would have happened if you stayed at the clinic. They would have found you. Cut you open. Ripped out the embryo and… Stop. Cece covered her ears. Stop, stop, stop. He fell silent immediately, but tension vibrated in the air like electricity. Cece took 3 deep breaths, forcing the panic down. She observed the man before her with a designer's eyes. Read the details. The thin scar above his left eyebrow. Knuckles slightly deformed from hitting too many people. The way he always positioned himself between her and the door. Controlling. Protective. Dangerous. What's your name? She asked. Damian Cross. The Damian Cross? From the crime family that controls half the ports on the East Coast? A muscle jumped in his jaw. I see you read the papers. I design luxury interiors, Mr. Cross. Half my clients are criminals trying to look legitimate. She tilted her head. I recognize when someone's compensating with stolen art and Italian marble. To her complete surprise, he cracked half a smile. Smart. And pregnant with your son? Supposedly. Cece touched her abdomen again. Still can't believe it worked. The success rate on the first try is 30%. He also looked at her belly, expression unreadable. But Katie was always… lucky isn't the right word. Determined. If she wanted something, it happened. And now I'm carrying that something. Yes. Another silence. Cece could hear her own heartbeat. How long do you plan to keep me here? 9 months. 9? She choked. You're completely insane. I have a life. Work. Clients waiting for projects. You can't just… Already transferred $250,000 to your account. He cut her off. And your clients received emails from your assistant saying you needed to take an unexpected trip for an international project. 6 months in Europe. Cece opened and closed her mouth 3 times. I don't have an assistant. You do now. Tatiana is excellent. She also handles security. You invented an assistant and a trip and transferred money. She massaged her temples. This is kidnapping. Literally. You could go to prison. I can't. The statement was simple, factual. Nobody puts me in prison. The arrogance in his voice should irritate her, should terrify her. Instead, Cece found herself evaluating the situation like she would an impossible project. Identify constraints, find creative solutions, adapt. She was pregnant with a baby that genetically shared her DNA but biologically wasn't hers. The father was an American mobster who kidnapped her for protection. There were people wanting to kill her, and apparently her biological twin sister, who she never knew existed, had been this man's wife. This is going to make one hell of a therapy story, she murmured. Damian released a rough, genuine laugh. You're different. Different from what? From what I imagined. He studied her with renewed interest. I thought you'd panic, scream, cry. Oh, I'm going to do all that, Cece confirmed. Probably in 10 minutes when the adrenaline wears off. But first I need information. Information? I'm a designer. I work with data. She straightened her shoulders. How long until they figure out where I am? Damian raised an eyebrow, clearly not expecting the question. 2, maybe 3 days if they're very good. A week if they're sloppy. How many men do you have here? 32. Rotating team. Plan B if they breach? Underground bunker. Secret tunnel that exits 2 miles out. Helicopter on standby. Sissy nodded, processing. And the baby? You want to keep him after? The question made the air drop 15 degrees. He's my son, Damian said quietly. Dangerously. Of course I'm keeping him. And I get the 500,000 and leave your life. Yes. Never see the child again. Correct. Even though genetically it's impossible to distinguish if I'm mother or aunt. His eyes narrowed. What's your point, Sissy? My point, she leaned forward, holding his gaze, is that you kidnapped me, lied about my life, locked me in a gilded cage, and expect me to spend 9 months gestating a child I'll then hand over to a criminal to raise alone. I don't raise him alone. I have family, resources, the best of everything. But you don't have the mother. Damian went dangerously still. The mother is dead, but the aunt is very much alive. Cece touched her own chest. And carrying a baby who'll be born looking at my face and seeing the mother he never knew. Are you suggesting? His voice came out strangled. I'm not suggesting anything. Cece raised her hands. I'm just pointing out that this situation is 1,000 times more complex than traditional surrogacy. And if you really loved your wife, you need to consider what she would want. Don't use Katie against me. I'm not using her, I'm asking. She kept her tone calm, rational. Would she want her twin sister, who she never knew existed, to simply hand over her son and disappear? Or would she want this child to know his complete biological family? Damian turned abruptly, hands gripping the armchair back hard enough for his knuckles to turn white. You didn't know her. True, but I know abandonment. Cece got off the bed slowly, testing her legs. Dizzy but functional. I was adopted because someone didn't want me. I grew up wondering who my biological mother was, why she abandoned me. If I had siblings, if someone out there had my face. She walked until she stood beside him, looking at the window that showed endless gardens surrounded by high walls. And now I discover I had a twin sister, that she died, that I'll never meet her. But I'm carrying her son. Her voice broke. So excuse me if I'm being different than expected. It's because I'm processing the fact that I lost a sister I never knew and gained a nephew who should never exist. Silence. Damian looked at her sideways. Expression unreadable. 250,000 already transferred, he said finally. The other 250 when the baby is born. Contract fulfilled, you leave. We never see each other again. I understand. Unless, he hesitated, and Cece realized it was the first time she'd seen this man uncertain. Unless you want some kind of visitation arrangement. Not officially, but maybe occasionally. You'd allow that? Cece turned to face him. You'd let the surrogate see the child? You're not just a surrogate. The admission seemed painful. You're her sister, family, and Katie valued family above everything. Something tightened in Sissy's chest. Then why don't we talk about this when I'm not under active kidnapping? One corner of his mouth lifted. Fair. And maybe, she continued carefully, you could give me a tour of this gilded cage, since I'll be spending the next 9 months here. 7 months and 3 weeks, he corrected automatically. Oh, pardon me. 7 months and 3 weeks. Damian studied her for a long moment, then extended his hand. Temporary truce? Cece looked at the hand, at his face, at the hand again. Temporary truce, she agreed, shaking it. His hand was rough, calloused, surprisingly warm, and when his fingers closed around hers, Cece felt something run down her spine. This is going to be complicated, a voice whispered in her head. Very complicated. Damian released her first, stepping back. Food preferences? Allergies? The mundane question after the emotional intensity almost made Cece laugh. Lactose intolerant. And I hate coffee. Who hates coffee? Someone who overdosed on it working 3 days straight to finish a demanding client's project. She crossed her arms. I prefer tea. Earl Grey if you have it. Noted. He gestured to the door. I'll show you the house. But first you need to change. Cece looked down. She still wore the hospital gown from the clinic. My clothes? In the closet. Tatiana got them from your apartment. She broke into my apartment, used the building manager's key. Damian opened the closet door, revealing a space the size of her entire Brooklyn bedroom. All her clothes were organized by color. And before you complain, she also brought your drawing materials. They're in the study. Cece ran her hand over her own clothes, touching the green dress she wore last Christmas before everything fell apart. You thought of everything, she murmured. I always do. He leaned against the doorframe. It's how I stay alive. She grabbed jeans and a comfortable shirt, turning to face him. Are you going to stand there watching me change, or? Damian flushed. The feared leader of the cross-crime family turned red as a teenager. Sorry, I'll be right outside. The door closed with a click. Cece changed quickly, mind spinning, processing, adapting. She was trapped, pregnant, in danger, with a man who was simultaneously captor, protector, and father of the baby she carried but wasn't biologically hers. Camilla, she thought suddenly, my twin sister who betrayed me is going to love knowing I have another twin sister, who died. The laugh that escaped had a hysterical edge. When she opened the door, Damian waited leaning against the opposite wall, typing something on his phone. He looked up when he saw her. Ready? As ready as possible considering the circumstances. He almost smiled. Then let's go. The house has 72 rooms. Hope you like walking. 72? Cece followed him down the ornate hallway. Is this compensation for something, or do you genuinely need that much space? Damian stopped, turned, looked at her with an expression between shock and amusement. You really have no filter, do you? I lost my filter when my sister stole my boyfriend. Cece shrugged, discovered that brutal honesty works better than fake politeness. Your sister, he frowned, the one who betrayed you? Adoptive twin, Camilla. Same family that adopted me adopted her 6 months later. The bitter taste returned. Caught her and Rodrigo in their bed. Apparently they'd been sleeping together for 2 years behind my back. Damian went very quiet. Are they still together? I think so. Blocked them both everywhere. No idea. Want me to handle it? The question was casual. Lethal. Cece blinked. Handle it how exactly? Teach a lesson about respect and consequences. Are you offering to… what? Break his legs? I was thinking more destroy his business. Rodrigo's the last name? How did you… I ran a background check on you as soon as Dr. Winters confirmed the pregnancy. He continued walking like he hadn't just offered to ruin her ex's life. Rodrigo Tavares owns 3 gyms in Brooklyn. Questionable credit history. Would be easy to have the banks call his loans. Bankruptcy in 3 months. Cece caught up, grabbing his arm. No. He stopped, eyebrow raised. No. I don't want revenge. She released him. I want them to live with their choices, and I live with mine. Without interference from a megalomaniac mobster. For a long moment, Damian just looked at her. Then he laughed. Genuine. Surprised. Nobody's ever called me a megalomaniac to my face. First time for everything. Katie would have liked you, he said softly. The comment hit like a punch. You don't need to… Cece started. I do. Damian held her gaze. I need to say it. Because if we're going to do this coexist for 7 months and 3 weeks, you need to know that I don't see you as a substitute for her. You're not Katie. You're Cece. And I'm starting to realize that's good. Good. Different. Good. He rubbed the back of his neck. Katie was sweet. Kind. Never challenged me. You am irritating and filterless. Honest and fearless. He corrected. It's refreshing. They stared at each other in the hallway, bathed in golden chandelier light. This is going to be really weird, isn't it? Cece murmured. Completely. But we'll try. We don't have a choice. We always have a choice, Damian. His name sounded different in her voice. Softer. More personal. He must have noticed too because something shifted in his expression. Then I choose to try, he said finally. If you choose to. Cece thought about everything that brought her here. The betrayal. The loneliness, the desperate decision to become a surrogate, the impossible fate that connected her to a dead sister and a baby that would and wouldn't be hers. I choose to try, she agreed. And when Damian smiled, a small but real smile, Cece realized she'd just made the most dangerous choice of her life, because this man wasn't just a mobster, he was her baby's father. And maybe, just maybe, something more. The house tour revealed 3 things about Damian Cross. 1. He had terrible taste in art, but excellent taste in architecture. 2. He ran his criminal empire from a mahogany-paneled study that looked like it belonged to a Harvard professor. 3. He was completely clueless about what a pregnant woman actually needed. "This is the gym," Damian said, opening double doors to reveal a space that could host an Olympic training team. "Fully equipped. Personal trainer available if you want." Cece stared at the rows of weights, the boxing ring in the corner, the punching bags that looked suspiciously stained. "Are those bloodstains?" She pointed. "Old ones. That's not reassuring. I'm a mobster, Cece, not a saint." He closed the doors. "Though I keep the actual business far from the main house, you won't see anything unpleasant, except the art." She gestured to a particularly garish modern piece in the hallway. "Who told you orange and lime green work together?" Damian's jaw tightened. "Katie liked it." "Katie had terrible taste in art," Cece said bluntly, then immediately regretted it. "Sorry, that was accurate." He surprised her with a short laugh. "She bought it at a charity auction because the artist was a struggling single mother. Cost me $50,000 for something that looks like a toddler's finger painting." "50,000?" Cece examined the piece more closely. "For this?" Katie had a big heart, terrible eye for aesthetics. His voice softened. "She once bought a sculpture that was literally just a bent spoon welded to a hubcap. Said it spoke to her." "What did it say? I'm an overpriced piece of garbage?" Cece snorted. Actually snorted. Damian's eyes widened, then he grinned. "Did you just snort laugh?" "No, you absolutely did. I have allergies." "In climate-controlled air?" He moved closer, that grin still playing on his lips. "Admit it. You think I'm funny. I think you're delusional." But she couldn't stop her own smile. "Show me more of this architectural disaster you call home." The next hour passed in surprising ease. Damian showed her the library, floor-to-ceiling books, rolling ladders, and a first-edition Hemingway that made her designer heart sing. The kitchen, industrial-sized and staffed by a chef named Marco, who immediately promised her lactose-free everything. And the greenhouse, Katie's project now maintained by a gardener who teared up talking about the late Mrs. Cross. But it was the nursery that stopped Cece cold. "I didn't know you'd prepared this," she whispered, standing in the doorway. The room was perfect. Soft gray walls, white furniture, mobile of hand-carved wooden animals hanging above the crib, a rocking chair by the window overlooking gardens, shelves already stocked with books. "Had it designed 2 years ago," Damian said quietly behind her. "When Katie first got pregnant. Then after, I couldn't make myself change it." Cece walked to the crib, running her fingers over the smooth wood. "It's beautiful." She picked everything. Colors, furniture, even the mobile. He pointed. "She said our son would be strong like a bear, smart like an owl, fast like a rabbit." "Your son," Cece repeated, hand instinctively moving to her stomach. "Do you know for sure?" "The embryo was tested, male, healthy." Damian joined her by the crib. "I'll have a son, Katie's son." The weight of that statement settled between them. "I'm going to get attached," Cece said suddenly. "Fair warning, I'm carrying him. I'll feel him move. He'll respond to my voice. And when he's born," she swallowed hard. "Walking away is going to destroy me." "I know. Then why go through with it? Why not find someone else? Someone who wouldn't?" "Because you're her sister." Damian turned to face her fully. "And maybe some part of me believes that Katie somehow, I don't know, arranged this, put you in that clinic, made sure her son would be carried by family. That's magical thinking. I'm aware." He smiled sadly. "But I've built an empire on trusting my gut. And my gut says you being here isn't coincidence." Before Cece could respond, his phone buzzed. The shift in his demeanor was instant, shoulders tensing, jaw setting, eyes going cold. "Excuse me," he said, already walking out. "Don't leave this floor." "Why?" The door shut. Cece stood alone in the nursery, unease creeping up her spine. She moved to the window, looking down at the grounds. Men in dark suits patrolled in pairs. More than before. Something was wrong. She left the nursery, moving quietly down the hallway. Voices drifted from the study, Damian's and others, speaking in rapid-fire exchanges. Confirmed visual 2 miles from the east perimeter. Can't be Marchetti. He's still in Boston. Then who the hell is it? Cece pressed against the wall, heart hammering. "Lock down the house," Damian ordered. "Full protocol. And get her to the safe room." Her. Cece barely had time to process before heavy footsteps approached. She darted into the nearest room, a bathroom, and locked the door, pressing her ear against it. "Miss Moretti?" A woman's voice. Accented. "I know you're listening. I'm Tatiana. We need to move you now." Cece opened the door to find a woman in her 30s, athletic build, blonde hair in a severe bun, wearing tactical gear that made her look like she'd stepped out of an action movie. "What's happening?" Cece demanded. "Possible breach. Mr. Cross wants you secured." Tatiana's hand hovered near the gun at her hip. "Please come with me. I want to talk to Damian first." "No time. Now, Miss Moretti." Something in Tatiana's tone, professional but urgent, made Cece comply. They moved swiftly through hallways Cece hadn't seen, down a staircase hidden behind a bookshelf, into a corridor that looked like a bunker. "In here." Tatiana opened a steel door. "Stay until Mr. Cross or I come for you." "Wait." The door shut, locked. Cece stood in a room that was essentially a luxury panic room. Comfortable furniture, kitchenette, bathroom, monitors, showing security camera feeds of the property. On the screens, she watched armed men taking positions. Damian in the study, barking orders into his phone, the perimeter guards fanning out. And then she saw them. 3 vehicles approaching from the east, moving fast. Her breath caught. The monitors went dark. Cece's phone, which she'd forgotten she even had, buzzed. Unknown number. Against every instinct, she answered. "Hello, Sissy?" The voice was male, smooth, American. "We haven't met, but I know you're carrying something very valuable to Damian Cross." Her blood went cold. "Who is this?" "Someone who wants to make a deal. You walk out the east entrance in 10 minutes, we drive you to a clinic, remove the embryo safely, and pay you triple what Cross offered. Then you're free. And if I refuse, then we come in and take you. And the removal won't be nearly as comfortable." The voice hardened. 10 minutes, Cece. Choose wisely." The line went dead. Cece stared at the dark phone screen. Processing. They knew her name, knew about the pregnancy, knew the house layout. Someone had leaked information. She looked around the safe room. No weapons, no way to contact Damian directly. Just her, a phone, and a decision. Walk out and potentially live but lose the baby. Stay and risk them breaking in anyway. Or, her eyes landed on the ventilation grate. Cece smiled grimly. "Guess it's time to see if those yoga classes paid off." She grabbed a chair, climbed up, and started unscrewing the grate. Because there was a third option nobody expected. The interior designer was about to design her own escape route. And Damian Cross was about to learn that the woman carrying his son was far more dangerous than anyone anticipated. 6 weeks into captivity, protection, Damian insisted, Cece had established a routine that kept her sane. Morning, design work in the study overlooking the gardens. Afternoon, walks through the estate with 2 armed guards trailing at respectful distance. Evening, dinner with Damian, where they maintained careful conversation about everything except the obvious. The baby, Katie, what happened after. Today, the routine shattered. "My brother arrives in 20 minutes, Damian announced, appearing in the study doorway. "I need you to stay in your room." Cece looked up from her sketches for a Miami penthouse project. "Excuse me? Marcus doesn't know about you. About the pregnancy, about—" He gestured vaguely between them. "Any of this. So I'm the dirty secret?" She set down her pencil with deliberate precision. "The knocked-up surrogate hidden in the attic like some Victorian scandal. You're the protected asset that I don't trust my volatile brother around." Damian's jaw tightened. "Marcus has opinions about Katie, about me moving on. This situation is complicated enough without what? Him knowing the truth?" Cece stood, hand instinctively moving to her barely there bump. At 8 weeks, only she and Damian could tell. "I'm not hiding, Damian. I've spent 6 weeks in this gorgeous prison being cooperative, eating the organic food, taking the prenatal vitamins, not complaining about the armed escorts." She crossed her arms. "But I won't be hidden like I'm something shameful." His eyes darkened. "You're not shameful. You're vulnerable. I'm pregnant, not helpless. You're carrying the Cross heir in a house about to contain Marcus Cross." He moved closer, voice dropping. "My brother is brilliant, loyal, and completely unhinged when he thinks family is threatened. If he perceives you as a threat to Katie's memory, then maybe he needs to know I'm Katie's sister." Cece held her ground. "Or are you ashamed of that too?" Damian flinched. Before he could respond, glass shattered downstairs. "Damian!" A male voice roared through the house. "Where the hell are you?" "Stay here," Damian ordered, already moving. Cece naturally followed. The man in the foyer was a hurricane in human form, slightly shorter than Damian but broader, with the same dark hair worn longer and wilder. He gripped a bloodied cloth to his left arm, expensive suit jacket torn, face twisted in rage. "They hit the Providence shipment," Marcus snarled, not noticing Sissy on the stairs. "Torched 3 warehouses, killed 8 of our guys, left this." He threw something on the marble floor. A photograph. Even from the stairs, Sissy could see it was Katie. Blonde, beautiful, smiling. Someone had drawn a red X over her face. Damian went absolutely still, the kind of still that preceded violence. "When?" His voice was ice. 2 hours ago. They're sending a message, the bloodline ends." Marcus laughed bitterly. "They really think they can—" He stopped mid-sentence, eyes locking on Sissy. The resemblance hit him like a freight train. His face drained of color. "What the fuck?" Marcus breathed. "Damian, what the fuck is Katie doing on the stairs?" "That's not Katie," Damian said carefully, positioning himself between them. "Bullshit. I'd know my sister-in-law anywhere." Marcus tried to move forward. Damian blocked him. "How? The cancer? The car bomb? We buried her. I was there." "Marcus, did you clone her?" His voice cracked. "Did you lose your goddamn mind and—" "I'm Cece Moretti." She descended 3 more steps, ignoring Damian's warning glare. "Katie's twin sister. We were separated at birth. I didn't know she existed until 6 weeks ago." Silence crashed through the foyer. Marcus stared at her, at Damian, back to her. "Twin?" he repeated slowly. "Katie had a twin." "Yes. And you just— what? Showed up?" "I was hired as a surrogate." Cece decided brutal honesty was the only path forward. "Damian used Katie's frozen eggs. I'm carrying his son, her son. Genetically, I'm the aunt, but biologically, I'm the vessel." Marcus sat down heavily on the bottom stair. "You got Katie's twin sister pregnant with Katie's baby." "Yes," Damian confirmed. "That's the most fucked up thing you've ever done." Marcus looked at his brother with something between awe and horror. "And I've watched you do some seriously fucked up things." "Agreed," Cece said. Both men looked at her. "What?" She shrugged. "It's objectively insane. But here we are." Marcus started laughing. Deep, almost hysterical laughter that echoed off marble. "Oh, Katie would have loved this," he gasped between laughs. "She always said you needed someone who called you on your control freak bullshit, Damian, and you went and found her genetic duplicate." "I'm not Katie," Sissy corrected sharply. "No." Marcus wiped his eyes, studying her with sudden intensity. "Katie never would have descended those stairs in the middle of a family crisis. She'd have hidden like Damian told her to." "I don't hide." "Yeah." His grin was wolfish. "I'm starting to see that." Damian's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and every muscle tensed. "We have movement on the north perimeter. 2 vehicles. Unknown." Marcus was on his feet instantly, hand moving to the gun at his hip. "The study," Damian ordered Cece. "Reinforced walls, panic button under the desk. Basement bunker," she corrected. "You showed me week 3. Titanium door, independent air supply, tunnel to the garage." He blinked. "You were paying attention." "I'm always paying attention." She was already moving toward the basement access behind the kitchen. "It's how I stay alive." His own words thrown back. The faintest smile crossed his face even as gunfire erupted outside. The bunker was sterile, cold, and surprisingly spacious. Sissy counted 8 security monitors showing different angles of the estate. On screen 3, she watched Damian's men engage 4 attackers at the main gate. On screen 7, Marcus took down 2 more trying to scale the east wall. On screen 2, a figure moved through the gardens toward the house, toward the now empty study where she should have been. "Damian," she spoke into the comm system he'd shown her. "Garden approached screen 2, he's heading for the study." Damian's voice crackled back. "You're supposed to stay quiet in there. And he's supposed to not bypass your entire security perimeter, but here we are." She watched the figure produce bolt cutters. "He's coming through the window in 30 seconds. Marcus, on it." Marcus's voice cut in. Screen 2 showed Marcus appearing like a ghost behind the intruder. The fight was brief, brutal, and ended with the attacker unconscious in the rose bushes. "Clear," Marcus reported. "But Damian? This one's wearing Vittorio family colors." Silence on the comm. "The Vittorios hit Katie," Cece said quietly, remembering Damian's explanation from week 1. "Yeah." Damian's voice was granite. "They did." She watched on the monitors as he walked toward the rose bushes, watched Marcus try to stop him, watched Damian shake him off and crouch beside the unconscious man. Even without audio, she could read the threat in every line of Damian's body. 3 minutes later, the all-clear sounded. Cece emerged from the bunker to find Damian in the kitchen, washing blood off his hands. His blood or someone else's, she couldn't tell. "You okay?" she asked. "Fine." Liar. He looked at her in the reflection of the window over the sink. "You were supposed to stay in the bunker until I came for you. You were taking too long. 5 minutes. 5 minutes where I didn't know if you were alive or dead." She leaned against the counter. "The monitors don't show audio. I couldn't hear if something went wrong." Something shifted in his expression. "You were worried. Don't let it go to your head." But her hand trembled slightly as she poured water. "Did you get information from him?" "Enough." He dried his hands methodically. "The Vittorios know about the pregnancy. Not about you specifically, just that there's a surrogate carrying the crosshair." "How?" "Leak somewhere in the medical chain. We're investigating." He turned to face her fully. "They'll try again. I know. I can move you. Safe house in Montana. Off-grid, completely isolated." "No. Sissy, I'm not running." She set down the glass. "I'm 8 weeks pregnant with your son, Katie's son. The nephew I'll never stop being genetically connected to even after I hand him over. The Vittorios want to end the cross-bloodline. Fine, but they'll have to go through me first." Damian stared at her like she'd grown a second head. Marcus, appearing in the doorway, still holding his bloody arm, whistled low. "Okay, I take it back. You're not like Katie." He grinned, despite the pain. "You're better." "Marcus," Damian warned. "What?" "It's true." Marcus moved to the sink, running water over the gash. "Katie was perfect, sweet, kind, but she never would have stayed during a firefight calling out enemy positions like some tactical analyst. I used to design panic rooms for paranoid CEOs," Cece said. "You pick up things." "Marry her," Marcus told Damian. "What?" "Marry her. Make it legal. That baby becomes legitimate crosshair, protected under family law." "Marcus, that's not—" "Actually," Cece interrupted. "He's right." Both men turned to her. "Legally, I'm just a surrogate," she explained, designer brain already working the angles. "No parental rights, but as your wife, I'd have legal standing. Power of attorney if something happens to you. Protection under the family structure." She met Damian's eyes. "It's not about romance. It's about paperwork and survival." "You'd do that?" Damian asked quietly. "Marry someone you barely know?" "I'm carrying someone's baby I barely know." She shrugged. "At least marriage comes with health insurance." Marcus laughed so hard he reopened his wound. The wedding happened 72 hours later in the estate's library, officiated by a judge who owed Damian 3 favors and didn't ask questions. Cece wore a simple cream dress that Tatiana produced from somewhere. Damian wore the same black suit he'd worn when they met. Marcus served as witness, arm in a sling, grinning like this was the best entertainment he'd had in years. "Do you, Damian Cross, take this woman?" "Yes," Damian interrupted. The judge blinked. "I haven't finished." "Don't care, yes." Sissy bit back a smile. For a man who'd spent 6 weeks being meticulously careful around her, he seemed awfully impatient now. "And do you, Sicci Moretti, take this man?" "Yes." She figured if they were doing this, might as well commit. "Before you ask, yes to everything. Let's move this along." The judge looked vaguely offended but continued. 3 minutes later, they were married. Damian slid a ring onto her finger, white gold with a single diamond that was simultaneously elegant and probably cost more than her car. "Katie's?" she asked quietly. "No." His thumb brushed over the ring. "That's in a safe. This is yours, if you want it." Something warm unfurled in her chest. "I want it." Marcus took a photo on his phone. "Mom's gonna lose her mind." Damian went pale. "You didn't tell Mom." "Of course I told Mom. She's flying in tomorrow." Marcus's grin widened. "Oh, did I forget to mention that?" "Marcus, she threatened to disown me if I didn't give her details. What was I supposed to do? Lie to our mother?" "Yes," Damian hissed. Cece looked between them. "Your mother doesn't know about the pregnancy, the surrogacy, any of this?" "Mom knew about Katie's frozen eggs," Marcus explained. Damian told her he'd consider options eventually. She did not know eventually meant knocked up Katie's secret twin sister. "Stop saying it like that," Damian growled. "How should I say it?" "Literally any other way," Cece interrupted before they could escalate. What's your mother like? Both brothers paused. Terrifying, they said in unison. Perfect. Cece smoothed her dress. I'll prepare accordingly. Victoria Cross arrived the next morning in a black town car, trailed by 2 security vehicles and enough luggage for a month-long stay. Cece watched from the second-floor window as Damian greeted his mother. Victoria was tall, elegant, maybe 60 but looked 45, wearing a charcoal suit that screamed old money and older power. She slapped Damian across the face the moment he got within range. "That's for not telling me yourself," Victoria said crisply, then kissed both his cheeks. "And that's for finally doing something interesting." Cece decided she liked Victoria already. 20 minutes later, they faced each other across the sitting room. Victoria studied Cece with eyes exactly like Damian's. Dark, assessing, missing nothing. "You look exactly like Katie," Victoria said finally. "I know. Does it bother you? Being compared constantly? Does it bother you?" Cece countered. "Having your dead daughter-in-law's twin show up pregnant with your grandson?" Victoria's lips twitched. "Marcus said you had spine. He undersold it. Marcus talks too much." "Agreed." Victoria sipped her tea. "How far along?" 9 weeks. "Morning sickness?" "Manageable." "Cravings?" "Pickles and peanut butter. Separately, not together." "I'm not a monster." Victoria actually smiled. Katie craved ice cream and hot sauce. Damian nearly divorced her. "They weren't married that long," Cece said carefully. 18 months. Engaged for 6 before that. Victoria's expression softened. She was lovely, genuinely kind, but also fragile. The cancer, then the pregnancy, then... She didn't finish. "I'm sorry for your loss." "Are you?" Victoria's gaze sharpened. "Or are you sorry you never knew you had a sister?" Cece considered lying. Dismissed it. "Both. Mostly the second." She set down her cup. "I grew up wondering if I had siblings. Turns out I had a twin who died before we could meet. So yes, Mrs. Cross, I'm furious and heartbroken about something I can't change." "Victoria," Damian's mother corrected. "And you'll call me that, or Mom if you're feeling brave. None of this Mrs. Cross nonsense. You married my son. For legal protection. Still counts." Victoria leaned forward. "Cards on the table, Sissy. I loved Katie. But Katie's gone. This baby, my grandson, needs a mother who's alive, present, and strong enough to survive this family. Are you that woman?" The question hung in the air. "I don't know," Cece admitted. "I agreed to be a surrogate, hand over the baby and leave. But then I met Damian, learned about Katie, discovered I'm genetically this child's mother even though I'm not." She pressed her hands to her stomach. "I don't know what I am anymore. Human," Victoria said simply, confused. "Trying your best in an impossible situation." She stood, moving to sit beside Sissy. "Katie would have wanted you in this child's life. She valued family above everything, and you are family, whether you planned to be or not." Tears burned behind Cece's eyes. "I don't want to replace her. You couldn't if you tried. She's irreplaceable." Victoria took Sissy's hand. "But you're not a replacement. You're something new, something Katie would have celebrated if she'd known you existed." The door opened. Damian entered, saw them holding hands, and froze. "Should I leave?" "No," Victoria said. "Sit down. We need to discuss security." "Mom, the Vittorios attacked your pregnant wife, Damian. That requires a response." Victoria's voice went cold. "A permanent one." Cece watched Damian's expression shudder. "We're handling it. By hiding her here. That's defense, not offense." Victoria released Sissy's hand. "You need to eliminate the threat at its source. Take out the Vittorio leadership. That starts a war. You're already in a war. They killed Katie. Tried to kill the baby. Attacked this estate." Victoria stood. "End it, Damian. Or I will." Mother and son stared at each other. "You're retired," Damian said carefully. "I'm semi-retired, big difference." Victoria smiled, and it was terrifying. "Give me 48 hours. I'll handle the Vittorios." "Mom, I'm not asking permission." She swept out of the room, leaving shocked silence. Cece found her voice first. "Your mother is going to start a mob war. Finish one, technically." Damian scrubbed his face. "And yes. Should we stop her? Could you stop a hurricane?" "Fair point." They sat in silence for a moment. "Your family is insane," Cece observed. "Says the woman who married into it." "Touché." Damian moved closer. Not quite touching, but near enough she could feel his warmth. "You don't have to stay," he said quietly. "After the baby's born. The marriage, we can annul it. Say it was for legal protection during pregnancy. You take your money and leave. No obligations. What if I don't want to leave? His head snapped toward her. What? Cece traced the ring on her finger. I've spent 9 weeks here, learning about Katie through you, through Marcus, through your mother, feeling this baby grow, watching you try so hard to be honorable when you could just be controlling. She met his eyes. What if I want to stay? Be part of his life? As what? Damian's voice was rough. Aunt? Mother? Wife? I don't know yet. Honest, raw. But I know I can't just hand him over and walk away. He's Katie's son, my nephew. And maybe, she swallowed, maybe mine too, in the ways that matter. Damian reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. When she didn't, he cupped her face with both hands. You're nothing like her, he said. Katie was sunshine and softness. You're lightning and steel. Is that bad? No. His thumb brushed her cheekbone. It's perfect. You're perfect for this. For him. He stopped. For you? She finished. I can't ask that. You're not asking. I'm offering. Sissy covered his hands with hers. Not now, not yet. But maybe, eventually, he repeated, like testing the word. Eventually, she smiled. After you stop treating me like fragile glass. After I stop jumping at shadows. After we figure out who we are to each other beyond genetically complicated baby arrangement. Damian laughed, the sound surprised and genuine. Deal. They stayed like that, foreheads nearly touching, until Marcus burst through the door. Mom just ordered a hit on 3 Vittorio captains, thought you should know. Damian sighed. How much lead time do we have? She's already in the car. Of course she is. Cece stood. Should I be concerned? Only if you value peace and quiet, Marcus said cheerfully. Otherwise this is going to be extremely entertaining. Damian pulled out his phone, already dialing. I need to run damage control before she starts World War III. Too late, Marcus sing-songed. She's already at the Vittorio Social Club. What? Cece watched Damian sprint for the door, Marcus following while laughing. She touched her stomach, feeling the barely there swell. Your family is completely unhinged, she told the baby. But I think we're going to like it here. From outside, gunfire erupted. Cece moved to the window, watched Victoria Cross walk out of a building while it burned behind her, not even bothering to look back. Okay, Cece murmured. I definitely like her. 7 months later, Cece went into labor during a board meeting. Not her board meeting. She was just sitting in Damian's office sketching nursery designs while he negotiated shipping contracts with 3 very nervous businessmen. But when her water broke all over the Italian leather chair, the meeting ended abruptly. Gentlemen, Damian said with preternatural calm, we'll reschedule. But the contracts, one started. Out! Marcus appeared from nowhere, physically herding them toward the door. The lady is having a baby. Move, Cece breathed through the contraction, counting like the birthing class taught her. This is fine. First babies take hours. We have time to... Another contraction hit. Stronger, closer. Or not, she gasped. Damian was already on the phone. Dr. Winters. Now. Estate. Yes, now. Victoria swept in wearing tactical gear. Hospital or home? Home, Cece managed. Too exposed at the hospital. Smart girl. Victoria squeezed her hand. I've had 3 babies. You've got this. Easy for you to say. You're not... Holy mother of... The next 6 hours were a blur of pain, pressure, and Damian's hand in hers turning progressively more purple from her grip. You did this, she snarled during one particularly brutal contraction. This is your fault. I know. I'm never having sex with you. We haven't yet, he pointed out. Good. Keep it that way. Dr. Winters checked the monitors. You're crowning. Next contraction, push. Cece pushed and screamed and pushed again. And then, a baby's cry filled the room. It's a boy, Dr. Winters announced, placing the tiny, squirming bundle on Sissy's chest. Cece looked down at her nephew's son and felt her heart crack open. He had Katie's nose, Damian's dark hair, and eyes, still unfocused, that might be amber like hers and Katie's, or might darken like his father's. Hi, she whispered. I'm his mother, Damian finished, voice wrecked. He touched the baby's tiny hand and miniature fingers wrapped around his thumb. And I'm his father. And I'm his spectacular uncle, Marcus declared from the doorway, phone camera out. Say hi to Grandma. Victoria appeared on FaceTime, tears streaming. He's perfect. The baby, they'd decided on the name weeks ago, but it felt real now, blinked up at Sissy. Welcome to the world, Logan, she murmured. Logan Michael Cross. Michael, Katie's middle name had been Michelle. Damian kissed Cece's temple. Thank you. For what? The baby was a joint effort. For staying. For choosing us. For being brave enough to be his mother when you could have walked away. Cece looked at her husband, because that's what he was, legally and increasingly emotionally, and smiled. Where else would I go? You're all completely insane. It's perfect. 3 weeks later, Logan was screaming at 3 a.m. Again. Cece stumbled into the nursery to find Damian already there, pacing with their son against his shoulder. He won't settle, Damian said, exhausted. I've tried everything. Give him here. Cece took Logan, and the baby immediately quieted against her chest. He knows my heartbeat. He heard it for 9 months. Damian slumped in the rocking chair. I'm bad at this. You're learning. We both are. You're a natural. I'm faking it. Cece sat beside him. I'm terrified every second that I'll do something wrong. Drop him. Feed him incorrectly, somehow damage him permanently. Join the club. They sat in exhausted silence, Logan's breathing evening out between them. The Vittorios signed the peace treaty, Damian said finally. Victoria's negotiations were effective. By effective, you mean terrifying. Yes. He smiled. They've agreed to recognize Logan as the cross heir. No further attempts on his life or yours. And if they break it, then Mom handles them permanently. Cece believed it. Victoria Cross was a force of nature. So we're safe, she said. Safer, never completely safe in this life. Damian looked at his son. But I'll spend every day making it as safe as possible. We will, Cece corrected. Partners, remember? Partners. Logan made a small sound. Cece looked down to find amber eyes staring up at her. Katie's eyes. Damian breathed. Our eyes. Cece touched Logan's cheek. Mine and hers. He's got both of us in him. Lucky kid. Debatable. He's stuck with your family. Our family, Damian corrected. You married in. Can't escape now. Cece laughed softly. Who says I want to? Damian reached over, threading his fingers through hers. I love you, he said. Simple. Direct. True. Cece's breath caught. That's the sleep deprivation talking. It's not. He squeezed her hand. I've loved you since you called me a megalomaniac. Maybe before. Definitely after you stayed during the firefight. Absolutely when you agreed to marry me for paperwork and survival. Damian, you don't have to say it back. I know this started as a transaction, but it's not anymore. Not for me. Cece looked at her husband. Really looked. Saw the exhaustion, the fear, the hope, the love written across every feature. I love you too, she said. Even though you're controlling and overprotective, and your mother is terrifying. She really is. But you're also brave and honorable and you let me be myself. She leaned against his shoulder. Katie chose well. And so did I. They sat like that, parents in the quiet darkness, their son sleeping between them. Thank you, Damian whispered. For what? For giving me a second chance at family, at love, at being the man I want to be. Cece kissed him. Soft, sweet, full of promise. Thank you for giving me a family, a sister's memory, a son, a future. Logan stirred, fussing. Diaper, they said in unison. Your turn, Cece decided. I did the last one. I birthed him. You owe me approximately 10,000 diaper changes. Damian stood, taking Logan. Fair point. Cece watched him change their son with surprising competence, murmuring nonsense about quarterly reports and proper defensive positions. This, she thought, this is what Katie wanted for him, for us. And somehow, impossibly, it was perfect. Epilogue. 2 years later, Logan took his first steps on a Tuesday. He toddled 3 paces from Cece to Damian, then fell on his padded bottom and laughed. Did you see that? Damian crowed into his phone. Mom, he walked. I'm literally standing right here, Marcus complained. Tell me too. You already saw it. But I want the excited phone call. Victoria appeared via FaceTime, beaming. My brilliant grandson. Logan, hearing Grandma, waved at the phone. Gah! Cece captured it all on her camera, heart full to bursting. They'd expanded the estate's security, renovated the nursery twice, hired a full-time nanny who lasted 3 days before Victoria declared her insufficient and took over herself 2 days a week. Cece's design business had exploded. Turned out being married to Damian Cross opened doors. She was selective about clients now, preferring quality over quantity, Damian had legitimized 70% of the family business. The other 30% remained flexible, and Logan grew, thriving under the watchful eyes of his completely unhinged family. He looks like Katie when he smiles, Marcus observed. And Sissy when he's stubborn, Damian added. And you when he's plotting something, Cece finished. God help us all. Logan toddled toward the stairs. 3 adults lunged simultaneously. No, no, no. Damian scooped him up. Nice try, troublemaker. Twubble, Logan repeated gleefully. Great, Cece groaned. His first real word is trouble. Accurate, Marcus said. He's a cross. That evening, after Logan was asleep, Sissy found Damian in Katie's memorial garden. They'd built it together. Roses and lilies, Katie's favorites, surrounding a marble bench with her name. Hi, Sissy said softly. Hi. He made room on the bench. She sat, head on his shoulder. You okay? Yeah, just thinking about how she'd love him, how she'd love watching him grow. She does, Cece said. Somehow. I feel her sometimes. In the way he laughs. The way you look at him. In you, Damian added. Your strength, your fire. She gave me you in a way. A sister I never knew she had, who became everything I needed. Cece kissed him. You're getting sappy in your old age. I'm 34. Ancient. He pulled her closer. Marry me again. We're already married, genius. I know. But the first time was paperwork and survival. This time I want the full thing. Big wedding, your choice of venue, Marcus crying in his champagne. He would too. Absolutely, Cece considered. Under one condition. Name it. We do it in Katie's garden. So she's there too. Damian's eyes shone. Perfect. They renewed their vows 3 months later, Logan as ring bearer, Victoria officiating with a judge's license she'd obtained for occasions. Marcus crying exactly as predicted. When Cece said, I do, this time, it wasn't for protection or paperwork. It was for love, for family, for the future they'd built from impossible circumstances. You may kiss your bride, Victoria announced. Damian did thoroughly while Logan clapped and Marcus whistled. And somewhere, in the roses and lilies, Sissy swore she felt a breeze like a blessing, Katie's blessing, for the sister she never knew, the love she left behind, and the family that bloomed from ashes.